What's up everyone, it's Patrick from Purple Park Studios, and today we're going to be rigging this character that I just modeled this morning. I think that this is a pretty good character to demonstrate a couple techniques, like for example, this vest is not actually on the character, as well as the belt and a couple other things. So I'm going to show you how you can rig this character and then have everything move smoothly with the rig. And just real quick, this model, if you want this model, I'm actually going to put it up on my Patreon, so you can head over there. I'll put a link in the description and you can get this model. I'm going to go out of look dev mode here and turn these off. Hit 1 to go into front mode, and I'm going to hit Shift A, and I'm going to go down to armature, and I'm going to just add a single bone here. I'm going to go into X-ray mode just so I can see a little better. And I'm going to move this bone up to about here, and then I'm going to just scale it down like that. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to this bone, and I'm going to change this and just name it root. And this is going to be important. We're going to be naming our bones, and I'm going to demonstrate what I mean here in a second, but essentially if you rename your bones a certain way, you can hit the button called symmetry, which will just rig the other half of your armature for you. So tapping into edit mode here, I'm going to hit E and Z and move that up to the neck right about there. And then I'm going to hit E and Z one more time and move this up right up there, just so that this little ball is coming out of the top of the head there. So I real quick want to rename this bone here to neck, and then I'm going to rename this to head. And then I'm going to grab this ball right here and hit E and X and just extrude out to about here to the shoulder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this to shoulder. Shoulder.L. And that's important to do the .L. This is on the left side. I'm just going to move this down like that. Go into top view here. Okay. I'm going to hit E and just extrude this bone down to somewhere about where the elbow would be, maybe right about here. Go to top view, and I can check from side view. Okay. Maybe bring this down just a bit more here. And then I'm going to hit E again and go down to here, right to the wrist. Move that up a little bit. Go to top view. And then I'm going to extrude one more time, holding down X for the hand, and I just need to move that into position. So let me go back and make sure I renamed these here. So I know we did the shoulder. So this one here I'm going to call arm1.L, and this one here we're going to call arm2.L, and then this one here we're going to call hand.L. Now if I go into top mode here, I'm going to select this hand bone, and I'm going to hit Shift D, and I'm just going to move this here and grab that end point just so it's right like that in the finger, and we are going to have to adjust this. So you just want to make sure that your finger is in the side of the finger, your finger bone is inside of the finger. So like something like that looks about right. And I'm going into top view. I'm just going to grab this, hit Shift D, move it over. I'll just need to drag the front finger out. So I'm just going to, pretty easy, just moving these into place here. And before we rename these, we will just have to make sure that they're actually in the right spots. So you can see some of these fingers up here were not in the right spot. And you can pull these just up to so that they're just sticking out of the top of the finger there. But it's really close enough. Alright, so that's not looking too bad. The only thing I want to do is go into top view here and just fix this thumb. Maybe just move some of these, center them up. So quick, before we move on, I'm going to save my project here. And then I'm going to just start renaming these bones. I'm going to rename this thumb.l, if I can spell thumb right, thumb.l. And this one I'm going to call this pointer.l, and middle.l, ring.l, and of course the good old pinky.l. And then real quick, I'm going to, holding down shift, select these 4 fingers here, right click and hit subdivide, and I'm just going to change the subdivisions to 2. And then for the thumb, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm just going to leave it at 1 subdivision. So if I go into front mode here, and we don't need to rename these subdivisions, these will be auto named like pointer L, pointer L002, pointer L001, and so forth. So I can go back into front view, and just the important thing is that they have the .L. So now we need to get the legs here, so I'm just going to hit E and pull down right to about there. And I'm going to rename this to thigh.L, and then I'm going to hit E and Z and extrude down to right about where like the knee would be. Go to side view, make sure this is lined up here. And then I'm going to rename this one to leg.L. And then I'm going to grab this down here, and I'm going to hit E and Z and extrude down to right about where the foot would be bending. Hit 3 to go into side view. And then I'm going to hit E and Z right down to here. And then E and Y, extrude out there. And maybe I just want to bring that up a little bit like so. I can just check and make sure that everything is lined up in there. And the only thing I want to do is I just want to rename this to foot.L. So now I can go into front view, and I have essentially half of my armature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit A to select everything. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to hit symmetrize. And now if you look on the right side, there's a .R next to everything. And now we haven't parented this armature to our mesh yet, so I can go into object mode here, and I'm just going to select the armature, and I'm going to hide the main mesh here for a second. And if I go into pose mode, I can grab the bones, and I can see that stuff is working. Everything is connected properly. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back into object mode, turn on my main mesh. I'm going to select the main mesh, and then I'm going to hold down shift and select this armature, and I'm going to hit Control P, and I'm going to parent with automatic weights. And what this is going to do is this is going to set up vertex groups for us that certain bones are related to. Now this sometimes works really nice and sometimes it doesn't, but I'm going to hit with automatic weights because it'll give us a good starting point, and then we can go in and tweak any parts that aren't working correctly. I'll show you what I mean here. So if I go select my armature and go into pose mode, and I'll turn on X-ray mode here, I can see what's working and what's not. So I'll grab this. So the arm seems to be working pretty good. The arm guards aren't quite parented, so we're going to get to that in a second. I just want to check out the rest of this armature here, see what's working and what's not. So the head and neck seems to be working good. We are going to need to parent these air filters. They are separate from the helmet mesh, so we'll need to parent those, which we'll get to that in a second. Everything seems to be going pretty good there. Obviously the vest is a separate object, so we'll need to take care of that. But you can see overall everything seems to be working pretty well for the most part. The laces need to be parented. They're a separate object as well. But there's nothing like too wonky. Like when I'm moving this bone here, the arm's not moving or something crazy like that. So I'm going to hit File and Save. Alright, so now we need to parent these the air vents to the head bone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the air vents here. Holding down Shift, I'll select my armature. I'm going to go into pose mode, and I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to select the head bone here. I'm going to hit Control P, and I'm going to parent that to the bone. And now if I move my head bone, you can see that the air vents move with the head bone. and that's good. That's what we want. So I'm going to go back into object mode here, and I'm going to select my vest. Then I'm going to hold down shift, select the armature, go into pose mode, and I'm going to select this the root bone here. I'm going to hit Control P, and I'm going to parent that to the bone. And now if I move the root bone, the vest moves perfectly with it, which is, again, what we want. So I'm going to do this same process here. So what I'm going to do for now, you can see that when I go into pose mode and I try and move this arm, these little like arm guards or whatever they are, they're not moving with the mesh, and that's not good. I mean, here there's some weird stuff going on, and I think that's for both sides. Yeah, that's for both sides. So this is a good opportunity to demonstrate these vertex groups here, which I said earlier that the different bones were essentially connected to vertex groups. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to select my mesh, and I'm going to go over here to the vertex groups, and I'm going to be looking for arm 1 and 2 on the right side. So let's go to, here's arm 1R, arm 2R. So I'm going to select arm 1R first. I'm going to hit tab to go into edit mode here. And I'm going to select this mesh here and hit L. And I'm going to hit assign. And that should assign all of these vertices here to arm 1. So let's see if it worked. Go back into object mode, pose mode, rotate, and it did. And it looks like this is assigned here, this little piece of armor. So now, and it's also assigned to this one as well, which is okay. So we need to assign this section here to bone, I think it's bone 2R. Or I'm sorry, arm 2R. So now I'll select arm 2R, tap into edit mode, select this piece here and hit L to select the entire piece. And now under arm 2R, I'm going to hit assign. And now if I go back into object mode and select my armature, go into pose mode, and I have this bone selected here. Now when I move the arm, the arm guard moves with the bone, which is what we want. So I'm going to do the same exact thing for the left arm here. Just going to go, and I'm going to go under my vertex groups over here on the right. I'm going to hit arm 1L, tap into edit mode, hit L, select that, and hit assign. And then while I'm here, I'm just going to go to arm 2L, tap into edit mode, L to select that, and hit assign. And now if I go back into object mode, grab my armature, go into pose mode, and move these bones around, now it appears that everything is working good. You just got to be careful not to bend it the wrong way, because obviously your arm doesn't bend up like that, but you can see that the mesh collides there. So something like that will work just fine. So I'm just going to finish up here, selecting the belt, and then I'm going to go shift, select my armature into pose mode, and I'm going to parent this to either one of these bones, because I'm not really going to be using these bones at all. I think I'm going to just select that one, hit Control P to the bone, and I'm actually just going to hit H and H to hide those bones, because I'm not really going to need them. So now if I go back into object mode, the thing that I'm concerned about is when I move that root bone, if it affects the belt, which it doesn't, and that's what we want. R and X. So that way he can bend over like that, and the belt is not being affected. I can move these legs, and the belt is not being affected, and that is what we want. And I'm not really going to need those other two bones that were there, so I just hid them. So I think the only other thing that we need to do for this character is, well, first we'll save our project, and then we just need to parent these laces. So now the last thing we need to do is we need to assign these laces to the correct bones. So there's an easy way to do this. Now these were made with, I believe it was a mirror modifier, which has been applied, so the origin is in the center. So what I'm going to do is tap into edit mode here, one for front view. I'm going to just grab x-ray mode, select all these laces, and just hit P by selection. So now these laces are two separate objects. I'm going to just right click and set the origin to the geometry. I'm going to do this for both of the laces. So now all I have to do is just select one of the laces, shift select my armature, go into pose mode, shift select the bone, or I don't even think you need to shift select. You should just be able to select the bone. Just make sure that you don't have another bone selected. Like here I have this bone, so I'll just click so that nothing's selected. Then I'll just hold down shift, select this bone, control P, and parent that to the bone. And then I'm just going to go out of pose mode, back into object mode, select the laces on the other foot, shift select my armature, go back into pose mode, make sure none of the bones are selected, and then just pick the one I want, control P, parent to the bone. And now if I go back into object mode and then back into pose mode, and I move either one of these around, or I guess this bone would be the one. So I parented them to the wrong bone, so it should have been this bone that they got parented to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I'm not going to show that in the tutorial because I think this tutorial has gone on long enough. But if you need to know how to clear a parent, which I guess is important, I'll go back into object mode, I'll select these laces here, parent, clear parent, and I'm going to do the same for this set of laces here. And I guess we might as well just parent these to the correct bone. So control P, bone, and just make sure this was working here. There we go. So that is the correct bone. Select the laces, shift select the armature, head into pose mode, control P, parent to the bone. And like I said, if you want to get this character and download him, you can get him on my Patreon. I'm going to put a link to, it'll either be the project file or the FBX. And whether I do the textures or not, he's already set up with in the materials. There's all these different areas have been already set up, so you could make your own textures to this guy, or you could use the ones that are with him if I leave the textures on him. So either way, go check out the Patreon and you can get this guy for $3, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.